All right, welcome back to Dwayne's Roses. Today we'll be taking a look at a few of the fragrant roses that are still blooming in the garden, along with rose hips, which are now ripening. Let's start with some of the fragrant roses. A very unusual peachy color for the generous gardener here late in the season in this cool, cloudy weather. But it is beautiful and fragrant as always. This yellow one is a cross of Lady Emma Hamilton, the English rose, with a Canadian rose called Chinook Sunrise. And it's been blooming all season in spite of some of the hips that are forming on it from earlier crosses testing it right now. You can see some of the old hips have faded and some actually formed hips. And hopefully we'll manage. Glad to see some of the hips here on 1173 are beginning to ripen up. The cold hardy ones are usually first. I've already harvested the ones from the hybrid rugosas earlier, and now some of the other hardy plants, the Canadians and this one from Joe, are beginning to ripen up, so I'll be harvesting those. But I'll show you some of the others that aren't yet ripening up. Some of these hips have filled out nice and plump. Some of them are still a dark green, some of them you can see are just beginning to get just the tiniest amount of color, but a long ways to go on these guys. And that's true all along this row of different plants that I have hips on. Here we'll see how many seeds per hip and how they do. These are all siblings in a row here, being tested to see if any of them will prove useful for me. Really hoping this one, Love's Light, which is just beginning to color up, will prove a very beneficial breeder for me. Although I'm testing a lot with its pollen, since it doesn't produce as many seeds per hip and the germination isn't nearly as good. But several others along here also of its siblings. Some completely green still. Some of them just starting to get some color to them. But definitely need more time, so we'll see when frost comes. One I am really glad to see the hips ripening up on is common moss. Old pink moss, communis, there's a lot of different names for it. You can see there's a few hips, not a lot of hips on the plant, but there are some around the plant, all beginning to ripen up. Hopefully you can make out the mossing on the hip there. Alright, so now I thought I'd show you some of the blooms that are on roses that are new this year in test beds.